Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Senjimana Jean-Pierre. Today, we are going to talk about exchange rate, trade barriers, and the resources. So let's start by talking about exchange rate. Exchange rate is a value of currency in exchange with the other currencies of other countries from abroad. So let us see the types of exchange rate. There is floating exchange rate, there is restricted currency, and there is also currency peg. So let's start by talking about the floating exchange rate. Floating exchange rate is a rise and the fall of exchange depending on the foreign exchange market. So restricted currency, the government under the restricted currency, the government set the value of currency of a given country depending on how limited on its currency. Also, the third one is the currency peg. The value of a given country's currency, which is peg, is the other country's currency remaining the same range of value. So let us see the factors that influence exchange rate depending on the relationship of countries involving in exchange. So the first one is the difference in inflation. The country which has the lower rate of inflation, it increased its currency value. Let's take an example of what happened to Zimbabwe from 2010 up 2018. Zimbabwe during that period has been suffering from inflation. Their inflation led to caused their currency to lose its value on the market. So the second one is the difference in the interest rate. This goes hand in hand with the difference in the inflation. This is because the increased rate influence the level of inflation and the exchange rate. So the higher the interest rate, the foreign capital is attracted, making the rise of exchange rate. The third one is the current account deficit. This compare the payment of goods and services, interest, and the difference between countries partner. So a deficit in the current account shows that the country is spending more on foreign trade than it's earning and it's borrowing capital from foreign sources to make the deficit. The higher foreign currency demand, the lower the exchange rate. The fourth one is the public debt. This is the higher public debt. The government have more low and of its price export and the more printing of money, which leads to the inflation. This higher rate on inflation will cause the lower rate of exchange rate. The fifth one is the terms of trade. When the country's export has higher price than the country's import, this will be increase in the demand of country's currency due to the increase of terms and the trade cause the rising revenue of the export. The sixth one is the strong economy performance. The strong economy performance of the country more attract more foreign investors due to the stability of the currency value increase the exchange rate. Let's take an example. The stability of US dollar, it attracts the foreigner investors to invest in that country. So let us see the barriers, the barriers of trade. These are the policy that are taken by the different countries on the purpose of restricting importation of international goods and services. So let's see the types of barriers. There is natural and unnatural barriers of trade. The natural barriers of trade, there is distance between countries. Let's take an example. If USA, the USA and the Somalia, this is two countries that are on different continents. This can be a big barrier to the trade. Also, the language that are used in those countries. In USA, they use English, but in let's take an example of one country from Africa, like Tanzania. In Tanzania, they speak Kiswahili. That can be the barrier of international trade. So there is the non-natural barriers. Non-natural barriers, those are the taxes imposed imposed on the imported services and the commodities. Let's take an example. When the countries has conflict, the neighboring countries, when they have conflict, there can be the increase of taxes of the commodities from one country. So there is the importance of trade barriers. Trade barriers has some importance, such as reducing the unemployment in the country by reducing the importation of cheap labors from abroad. Let's take an example. In USA, one person can work for $12 per hour, and then when USA decide to make it easy for the people from other countries, there will be more and more labors, and it can also reduce that amount of money someone has been working per hour. Let's take an example. When a person is receiving $12 per hour, and then the time USA will allow those people from abroad to enter in USA, there will be the reduction of the salary. Perhaps one person, that person will be able to work for $5 per hour. So there is also reducing the trade deficit by increasing the demand of imports and protecting domestic industries from the competition of the industries from foreigners. So let's take an example. If in USA there is an industry that is producing cars, and then when the government of US allows the industries from China, from South Korea, from Japan, there will be competition of industries, and this can lead to the problem at the market, where the countries where the industries that provide cars in USA, they will lose the customers. So we are going to talk about the resources. So these are all kinds that are needed by the company to produce goods and services. So you can ask yourself, what what are the types of resources? The types of resources, there is the financial resources. In financial resources is where we find the money that are needed by the company or industry to provide goods and services. There is also human resources. Human resources, when we are talking about human resources, we talk about the employees that will be used to produce those goods and services. There is also material resources. Material resources, those are the tools that are used by the industries or the companies to provide, to produce goods and services. Thank you for paying attention for this video.